Before we discuss कि अंग्रेजों ने तवाइफ का इंस्टीट्यूशन कैसे तबाह किया, I would like to draw a profile of the courtesan relying on some British and pre-British era literature that paints a very interesting picture about the courtesan. A picture that can serve to clear a lot of misconceptions about these women and also show them in a light that they have never been seen before in. सबसे पहले, I would like to address this misconception that courtesans were this self-loathing figures, self-pitying figures who were victims of their fate. For example, take the case of Madhu Palani, a courtesan in South India in mid-1700s. She writes a self-praising poem in her book, and she says, "Which other woman of my kind has felicitated scholars with gifts and money? To which other woman of my kind have epics been dedicated? Which other woman of my kind has won such claim in each of the arts? You are incomparable, Madhu Palani, among your kind." You can clearly see the sense of pride in her words of self-appraisal, where she not only values her wealth and her art and her craft, but also her social prestige. Quite a departure from the self-pitying damsel in distress image that we have been fed. In his Oriental Memoirs written in 1813, James Forbes notes, and this one is very important, he says, "They are extremely delicate in their person, soft and regular in their features, with a form of perfect symmetry, and although dedicated from infancy to this profession, they in general preserve a decency and modesty in their demeanor, which is more likely to allure than the shameless effrontery of similar characters in other countries." Now this one stands out for me because how it talks about the decency and modesty of these women and how they possibly even used it as a tool to attract their audience. Now this goes against everything that we have been told about. This is rather interesting because these women operated in a very public sphere where most of their clientele were men. So that made sensuality and seduction a very important tool at their disposal. How these women struck a balance between modesty and sensuality and possibly even use modesty as a tool to express their sensuality, I guess that was a talent only these women knew. Another British woman, Anna Harriet, described a nautch performance as "A burst of wild oriental melody flooded the pavilion, and all at once the nautch-knees started to their feet. Poised on tiptoe, with arms raised aloft over their heads, they began to whirl and float and glide about in a maze of rhythmic movement, fluttering and quivering and waving before us like aspen leaves moved by a strong breeze. It must have cost them years of labor to have arrived at such ease and precision of movement. The dance was a miracle of art, and all the more fascinating because of the rare beauty of the performers. One can only imagine the power of these performances that evoked such a poetic response from the viewer. साथ ही साथ मैं कुछ लोकल तारीखी हवालों का भी जिक्र करना चाहूँगा। लेटर मुगल पीरियड में दिल्ली के एक नोबल थे कुली खान। वो अपनी किताब में कुछ कोर्टेजान्स और कुछ तवाइफ का जिक्र करते हैं, जिनमें से एक का नाम था अद बेगम। He writes, "Ad Begum is one of the most popular and famous women of Delhi, and she decorates her legs with beautiful nakashi in the style of pajamas instead of actually wearing them. In place of cuffs or poinche of the pajamas, she makes flowers and petals in ink as found in the kamhab cloth of room, and then attends the mahfils of the nobles. However, the lack of pajamas is discernible only if someone discloses the information. Because of the uniqueness and unfamiliarity of this peculiar style, the people are full of praise for it." This style of body adornment was unheard of before and is unheard of since. But this is a testament to the enchanting and bewitching ways of the Tawaif of Indian subcontinent. इसी तरह कुली खान चंद और तवाइफ का भी जिक्र करते हैं, जिनमें से एक है नूर बाई। नूर बाई के बारे में लिखते हैं, "Even the nobles have to make a request to visit her residence, while a few nobles do visit her residence. She lives in a grandiose house, full of curios usually associated with the houses of the nobles of high rank. The inviters have to send a large sum of money to have her accept their invitation, and upon her arrival, has to be showered with jewels as a token of her runamai. She has a colorful personality and is dignified of bearing. She is very particular of the manners and customs to be observed in the mahfils. Tutors of morals and ethics can take lessons by observing her hospitality. Khushhali Ramjani. Khushhali Ramjani is in the service of Itmadud Dawla, and a lot of dignity and grandeur are associated with her bearing. Once she was dancing in a mahfil attended by high personages to whom she gave no particular importance. Content in her demonstration, she neither addressed nor attended anyone. She sings well and her gestures are graceful and attractive. Rahman Bai. Her dark complexion beauty is likened by the connoisseurs to the beautiful dark portraits. The impact of her voice is sharp as a surgical instrument. She is versatile in her art. Her coal-filled eyes are a source of inspiration. Her appearance reminds one of a picturesque evening of Kashmir, and her black complexion, as dark as the Ab-e-Hayat, refreshes the soul. Her walk and her coquettish gestures help surface the desires of the people. She is cautious of being embraced in mahfils and steers clear of demonstrative people. It is said that she is still a virgin. It is rather interesting to note कि अंग्रेजों से पहले even dark complexion was considered a symbol of beauty. All these exquisite descriptions about the Tawaif paint a rather very interesting picture, which is that although these women operated in a very public sphere, a sphere which was occupied mostly by men, they still maintained a level of decency and modesty. एक और चीज़ ये कि there was prevalence of courtship in the Tawaif culture, and in the end, it was her decision who to allow in her inner circle. This shows the power that she had, not only on others, but her body as well. An agency which was not available to sex workers. Unfortunately, her influence, her power, her art, her craft, and her centrality to the culture of Indian subcontinent, all these things were about to change forever.